Welcome to the Haskins Innovation Challenge Finals. My name is Guy Horn.
And I'm Freya Jones. And 10 teams from across Switzerland have battled their way through to get here today to the Haskins Challenge Innovation Finals. So before we go forward, let's go back. Today we will be hearing 10 presentations along with the judges' selection. And before we hear about those, let's go back to our Lucerne kickoff day in October. We had some superb presentations and the top organizations from industry leaders. We had speakers. It was a fantastic event.
All of this would not have been possible without the great support from the Lucerne 2021 Winter Universiade Organizing Committee, Swiss University Sports, FISU, ThinkSport, the Haskins Innovation Society, and all of the people who've come together to make this possible. Freya, I don't know about you, I'm just a little bit sad that I'm not standing in the snow in Lucerne today.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, we were supposed to be in Lucerne with the snowy mountains behind us, but unfortunately we're here in Lucerne. I mean, it's still pretty nice out. We have our little mascot, Willie, here with us. So he's representing Lucerne for us today. So today we will have Leons Ender and Mike Kurt representing this side of Lucerne. So let's hear from Mike Kurt to tell us a little bit more about the host city that we're supposed to be in today.
Yes, hello, thank you very much. Hello everybody, what a pleasure it is to welcome you here today, the final stage of the Haskins Innovation Challenge. Some of you might remember, I've talked last time when we met in Lausanne that after Switzerland was hosting the last big major sport event before the pandemic with the very successful 2020 Youth Olympic Games in Lausanne, we wanted to take the unique opportunity to host the first big major event after the pandemic with the 2021 Universiade in Lucerne. Well, obviously, as Freya said, I was wrong. Due to COVID-19, we will host after the last edition 6 years ago in Villars, the 30th Universiade in Switzerland. What a shame, it hurts, especially when you look outside the weather conditions in the mountains or the snow conditions in the mountains. It hurts our hearts. Today, I can tell you, it would have been the skiing race in St. Moritz with our top contenders such as Tanguy Neff and other top athletes who would have been serious top favorites for a gold medal in alpine skiing. So, but as I always say, coulda, woulda, woulda are last words of a fool. So I was an athlete myself, and when I learned something out of 25 high performance sports, then it is that the so-called defeat also is always brings new opportunities. In my role as a president of Swiss University Sports, I always said that the legacy and the impact of Lucerne 2021 would be the top priority. Legacy first. So, and therefore, it shouldn't actually, even doesn't really matter whether actually the event takes place or not in terms of the impact of the event. Well, after the cancellation, a lot of people the last days came up and told me, Mike, now I finally understood what you meant by that. So, however, I think that the big legacy of 2021 will actually be there in the future. People will more think about the legacy and talk about this important topic. So I'm convinced that even Lucerne 2021 will never take place. There will be a legacy established almost 50 different legacy projects in the field of the dual career in order to strengthen the dual career, to develop local infrastructure, to develop new sports such as short track, or which is very close to my heart. Actually, we have set up initiatives to bring the world of sports and the world of academics closer to each other. Therefore, it is such a pleasure that even Lucerne 2021 has been cancelled. We are now able to host this event and give you, the decision makers of tomorrow, the opportunity to present your visions of the future of my sports event in the future. The current health situation was more than anything else that we need new models, and therefore I'm personally so curious and thrilled to hear your visions today. And I just want to say thank you in the name of Lucerne 2021, in the name of Swiss University Sports. First of all, to you, the participants, but also to Haskins Haskins. From students, for students. It is in the beginning a student initiative. That's what I really like about it. I also want to thank Unil, Haslu, FISU, and all the mentors and jury members and everybody who made this possible, and such a special event. So I wish you all best luck, and thanks again. All the best for the challenge. May the best win.
Thanks, Mike Garrett. That was an awesome introduction to today's events. We're all here to learn more about what you students have prepared, what you think is going to happen in the future in terms of the multi-sport events of tomorrow. So next up, we have a quick chat from Leons Ender, the acting president of FISU.
And be part of your interesting and challenging final of this Innovation Challenge. I'm very happy for that. So dear students, dear partners of the Innovation Challenge, one of the FISU's mottos, as you might know, is today's stars, tomorrow's leaders. Another is excellence in mind and body. You, dear participants who have accepted the challenge of the Innovation Challenge, you are the perfect fit for us, for FISU, but also for the partners of this innovative event, Haskins, Swiss University Sports, HSLU, ThinkSport, and Uni Lausanne. What should multi-sport events of the future look like? This is a question with which FISU is also concerned, confronted. Keywords here are, as you all know, legacy, sustainability, environmental and social protection, innovation, forms of competition, inclusion, technology, just to name but a few. The upcoming World University Games in the USA and Russia in 2023, Italy and Germany in 2025 have already incorporated some of these key issues in their concept, accompanied and supported by FISU, of course. The fact that you have agreed to take on this challenge and enrich us all with your reflections, which you have worked out as a team, fills me with pride and gratitude. Teamwork is the key to success, especially in sport. We are very excited about your inputs. Many thanks to you, but also to all the organizers, speakers, and partners of the Innovation Challenge, as well as the members of the jury. Good luck and success to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leon. So, who are the teams that are participating here today?
Well, the teams participating are a really wide selection of academic institutions across the whole of Switzerland. German-speaking, French-speaking, the whole lot. We've got Hochschule Lucerne, University of Lausanne, we've got EPFL, we've got AISTS, we've got Fachhochschule in Zurich, and our very own Sports Management School here in Lausanne. We've got economics, business, commerce, sports marketing, life sciences, hospitality, students from a wide range of subjects. What this promises is really different perspectives on satisfying the challenges that Mike and Leon just kind of outlined for us there. But how are we going to judge this?
So we are joined today by 5 amazing judges. Verena Black, FISU Education Committee Chair, Hippolyte Kempf, Director, Nordic Skiing, Swiss Ski. Thank you. Stefan Kurten, CEO of the 2025 Summer Universiade Organizing Committee. Marisa Heitsch, Chair of Ski Sports Switzerland and our previous co-host. Dominique Pruvot, Head of Federation Sport at Swiss Olympic. So next up, the judges will be viewing these presentations and basing them on innovation and legacy, as Mike previously mentioned. Also, an important aspect that we are both talked about with Leons and Mike is the aspect of sustainability. So the judges will definitely be keeping that in mind.
After each presentation, you will have a judge's opportunity to ask questions to the presenting team. As audience, as student members, you will be able to put some questions in the chat, and at odd times, Freya or myself will be able to choose one of those questions. There's going to be 2 more presentations, and there's also going to be a little break halfway through after 5 presentations for 10 minutes for you to wax your skis or check your skates. But otherwise, we'll try to flow through and keep things moving as easily as possible.
So without further ado, let's watch the video from Team 1, the croissant.
When we first met a few days after kick-off, we held a brainstorm around problematic aspects and major multi-sports events evoked. I resume briefly what emerged within the group. Except from some young audience targeting oriented events, like X Games or Free World Ride Tour, most of the major multi-sports events seem to be watched mainly by over 50-year-old audience. This could lead in future to a loss of relevance for this kind of events, even for the largest one, Olympic Games, since their main form of revenue is still selling TV rights. There's a lack of interest for people in federal sports. The 2020 Sports Swiss Software survey showed that people, especially the youngest, are more and more interested in sport practicing, but not for the associative and federal system. This brought to a drastic diminution of clubs and classical sport practicer, balanced by an increase of more free-oriented activities. What Todd Harper and his experience as innovation consultant suggested to us on Haskins for meeting is that the information technology industry is actively promoting sports through sponsorship and technical sustain. But they do have an issue on having a strong image impact on the public. At last, some sports have an extremely high impact on the ecosystem, like skiing, golf, Formula One, and it seems legitimate for a generation to ask what to do regarding these sports. Shall events just promote their practice, or more the sensibilization of the audience about their impact? For winter sports, we can go even further. Will it be possible to ski annually in the future, or will climate change transform snow into an occasional phenomenon?
Our idea is to promote sports through a new multi-sports event concept, integrating virtual reality and actual practice, targeting mainly young audiences who seem disinterested by traditional sports, and more video games or free practice oriented. For the first edition, we thought of the Université de Lausanne Sports Campus, in order to allow outdoor and indoor practice, if Swiss weather agrees. Due to the lack of mega infrastructure, our event is supposed to be easy to one-off. We wish to see it becoming recurring and being able to propose it in different cities. We propose an accessible timetable for schools and young audiences, allowing real practice as well as virtuals.
We have chosen 10 sports that the public will be able to try in VR and in reality. We chose sports that are not very popular to give people an opportunity to try sports that they probably never have done. It will also give the different sports federations a chance to grow their popularity. We contacted in the last few weeks the following sports federation that you can see on the slide to ask them if they were interested in our project. For instance, the Boxing Federation seemed pretty interested in the project and would be motivated to participate in this event. To promote the event, we wanted to use Formula One. It is a popular sport that very few people have the opportunity to try due to its price and its accessibility. And this may be the reason it was the most requested event in our market feedback. We asked a few people to take a survey and got 166 answers. 75% of the people were under the age of 25. Indeed, this characteristic is important since the group age we are focusing on is between 15 and 25 years old. In this survey, as you can see on the graphic, we found out that 54% of the people frequently practice a sport activity and 20% don't practice any sport. 59% of the people showed interest in trying a sport in VR. These results show us that people who don't practice any sport would be open to start a new sport activity if the sport had virtual reality in it, and that would consequently make it more attractive.
For our next step, we would include finding tech companies that would be interested in sponsoring our event and therefore get the chance to grow and make themselves a new reputation. We would like to contact public actors such as the UNIL or the City of Lausanne to know if they would be interested in receiving our project and help us develop the idea. And of course, we would be staying in touch with the International Sports Federation to give them the opportunity to get more popular. In conclusion, we think that by bringing sports and virtual reality together, it will open up new ways of practicing different sports. Thank you for listening. We are looking forward to seeing you at virtual games in this new dimension.
Well, have Team Croissant buttered up the judges enough? Judges, any questions from you?
Yes, I've got a question.
Far away, Stefan.
So my question is on the technical solutions. Have you thought about this? How can you deliver these events?
Yeah, it's quite easy to deliver since we almost rely on virtual reality devices, which are at the moment not so expensive, and they have a practical solution. We would like to see it in the future in augmented reality, but at the moment it's cheaper and easiest to propose in virtual reality.
I kind of had the same question with the accessibility to schools. I think it's great to include schools and pupils to try out more sports, but we all know that VR or AR systems are quite expensive, and the schools are not the most innovative institutions, also in Switzerland. So how would you do that?
Well, there are some tech companies interested in developing a new system of virtual realities performance, and especially made for sports. We are seeing at the moment, especially for skiing and even from some virtual reality aside, some technologies that comes in this direction. We would like that these companies show their interest in the social responsibility, and they show themselves as actor who can afford this kind of event. So they are a really important stakeholder for us, especially in the financial side.
If I understood correctly, you would have real events and virtual events.
Exactly.
Real events, that would you have top athletes competing, or would you just have random people? And the second question is as to the public. Would there be public on site?
We thought to a 5 days schedule. In the first 3 days, the public come and try virtual reality and at the same time real sports. On the 2 last day on the weekend, we have a competition in the VR, and for the competition in the VR, we want to give accessibility to the public, but it can be even proposed in a streaming platform, so we have not so many problems with accessibility in these terms.
Good questions. Any more questions from the judges? I'm going to take that as a no. So that was a very interesting presentation. We touched on real sport, virtual sport, the metaverse for sport, if you were, with the social responsibility angle. And the next team?
We will be having Team Telescope present us today.
whoever's to blame, the sorry state of affairs raises questions about what kind of legacy the Olympic Games have left for Brazil.
We saw a video we produced ourselves showing the stadium in Manaus. Now you may ask yourself, why do you show you this? When we were looking for a suitable location for our major sport event, we asked ourselves if we can use an infrastructure which is already built. And we came across the infrastructure of the Football World Cup 2014 in Brazil. Huge stadiums were built, which cost the state a lot of money and are not or rarely used. Because we want to use this infrastructure for our major sport event, we want to go back to Brazil. The event will use all 12 stadiums of the Football World Cup in Brazil and run the competitions in football, beach soccer and futsal. The male and female national teams between under 17 and under 20 can take part. Our vision. We want to strengthen the economy and at the same time offer young talents a platform at the sustainable event to present themselves and give them the attention they deserve.
We have realized our vision by trying to achieve as many sustainable development goals as possible. Overall, we have succeeded in achieving 14 of the 17 SDGs. Unfortunately, we do not have enough time to talk about all of them. Here are 3 examples: infrastructure, gender equality, and zero harm. Our goal was to achieve the greatest possible sustainability in the areas of economic actions, ecological actions, and social actions. We achieve economic sustainability because we don't have to build new infrastructure, but simply use the stadiums that already exist. In addition, we only use local consumer goods and can thereby support local farmers and the local economy. By keeping the travel times of the teams as short as possible throughout the event, we can ensure economic sustainability. Through the use of local consumer goods, which I mentioned earlier, imports become unnecessary and CO2 emissions can be reduced. We also do our best on a social level to be as sustainable as possible. During the event, jobs are created that will remain after the event. It is very important to us that the population can identify with the event. That is why we are in close contact with the people from the very beginning and maintain a transparent communication.
The sustainability of the event will be measured in 7 categories divided into 4 teams. Because we don't have enough time, I will only mention the important ones. The most important ones. The first category is the economics of the event, which shows the economic profitability of the event. Another important category is the sustainable use of resources, which will be optimally assessed with the accounting of all water and energy consumption of the event. And the last but most important one is the protection of natural and social environment, which measures the traffic overload and the inventory of land at the locations concerned. As already mentioned, the categories will be divided into 4 teams. The finance and accounting team are responsible for the economics of the event. The second team is responsible for conducting all surveys. Another team is in charge for the ecological measurements. The last team is responsible for cooperating with the police and ambulance. We master the idea we have, we know the risks, and we would like to work with FIFA because they have a lot of experience in planning and hosting sport events. And by the way, we show you that we know the risk because we propose to move forward with this idea.
Awesome. What an amazing presentation from Team Telescope, shining the light on the impact that having these big multi-day, multi-sport events can have on one specific little local area. So I'll now let the floor to the judges. If you have any questions, now is the time.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I have one question. You have a lot of objectives in your projects. Can you explain what are your 3 main goals of your concept? Thank you.
First of all, hello together. 3 goals are especially, first of all, to strengthen the economy in Brazil by using the infrastructure which is already built. So we would like only to do renovations at the stadiums. Second, we want to give the young athletes the opportunity to present themselves and give them the attention they deserve. And by using local consumer goods like food and everything else, we give the people there the opportunity to get money out of, like, as I said, like of food. And yes, that are the three main goals we have by hosting this event.
Question?
Go ahead.
So, question, have you thought about the commercial model?
Yes, so we have written it down already, what commercial measurements could be.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like to get the money out of sponsorships by using
and we also had planned to ask active football players to present our event on social media, and also retired people like, I don't know, maybe Cristiano Ronaldo to present this event on Instagram.
Okay.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for your questions. We'll now hop into the presentation by Team Unicorn.
Good afternoon. Paris 2024 will welcome mass participation into the Games. Pretty cool, no? But how nicer would it be if in 2028 the mass can also generate energy while they are running, cycling, or even rowing? This is what my team Unicorn will present you today. Our idea will bring mass participation generating energy. As an Olympian, I have experienced many multi-sport events, Olympic, European Championship, or even Universiade. Lately, in many discussions with other athletes, sustainability is the main topic, how to make it better for our next generation. After those reflections and a non-representative survey on my Instagram, for the first time, we are introducing a new mass sport discipline remotely, which will be included at the Olympics. We chose the Olympics because we believe it is the event with the biggest resonance, but also because they are looking to welcome mass participation into the Games. This event will take place in the live site in the host city, but also remotely in many other countries. How will this work? It's very easy. Everyone can participate and generate energy. For the first edition, we chose running, cycling, rowing, and weightlifting. Those sports will take place on fitness engine, and therefore we will use the power of the body to generate energy, which will be used for the live site themselves. This mass participation will also be the opportunity to raise awareness around inclusion, offering a third category as an option during registration and competition. This offer will permit us to run a survey and see how this third category is important to the population. In the end, the average amount of energy generated per participant and per country will be deciding the three winning nations. This idea is innovative and sustainable, but we know it is feasible and already existing. It can only improve the next decades.
No event is possible unless all the stakeholders are on board. For our particular event, we have tried to bring the athletes, fans, media, sponsor, community, and OCOG together. The mission being the change. Everyone wants to come together and be the change, positive change in the society. For athletes, they want to come together, deliver a social message, being closer to the community. For the fans, it's being a chance for them to part of the bigger event. For media, it's reach higher engagement. For sponsors, it's new revenue streams. For the community, it's building a better world. And for the OCOG, it's basically youth participation and the mass participation. The goals that we want to achieve through this idea, on the education front, it's basically creating awareness and educating people towards going green. On the fitness side, it's given the digital world where it will be more digital and less physical. It provides chance for the people to set up fitness goals. On the SDGs, this event brings them a step closer towards financial, economic, and environmental SDGs. And on the legacy, partnering with the host cities, create a positive impact on the society.
Okay, so what comes next? First, to make sure that we have all the stakeholders aligned on this idea, follow up by technology integration, which means that the technology we already know exists to implement it in the life sites. Also integrate additional sports that can generate this kind of energy, plus taking this storage technology from live sites to the home of every single participant in the events. Also, other events can integrate this proposal, or federations or organizations, let's think FISU or the Youth Olympic Games. And in terms of legacy, let's think of a world united by energy generation, everybody with a movement in pro of sustainability. Also, a sense of national pride and social cohesion, especially in countries where we have been seeing growing polarization. Promoting a healthy lifestyle almost goes without saying, and growing awareness on inclusion on DSD athletes and non-binary persons, the whole LGBT community to feel integrated. Finally, we would like to thank our mentor LJ and Think Sports for facilitating this event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's a very sharp and dynamic idea from Unicorn, and
thank you for this nice presentation. I have a question. Will you link this concept with the public viewing concept around the world? This means that you can run in Switzerland and produce energy in Switzerland and watch Olympic Games, for example. So will you link it with the public viewing concept is the question.
Yes, so basically we know that there are existing, overseas fan zones or viewing parties as such, but we wanted to combine this energy generating competition within those overseas fan zones. So yes, that's part of that fan zone event, so they can participate and do their exercise and generate energy, but they can also obviously, for example, after they finish their competition, they can stay in those fan zones and then watch the other competitions that's being shown, being broadcast in those fan zones.
How do you store the energy? I mean, how do you store the energy? How do you bring it back to the home? So what is is there a technical solution to that, or do you leave it to partners to find a solution for that? Or have you thought about this?
Yes, actually, this technology already exists. There are a number of companies which successfully develop and commercialize the technology. For example, Energym, Green Eco Gym, WeWatt, Sports Art, etc. And so there are several possibilities. First of all, it's possible to use the energy immediately. For example, for the live site where the event takes place. Second, it's possible to store with the batteries. And third, it's possible to send the energy back to the electric grid, so offsetting the other energy which is used.
Sorry, just a follow-up question. And were you thinking about the volume of, let's say, technology, so that you know how many devices have to be displayed to allow a mass participation in such an event? Because it could be quite costly, I think.
So we would like to keep a pre-registration, that to have a certain number of participants from each fan zone. That is the one requirement, so that the logistics can be planned. Second, in terms of the cost, our thinking was that to make it operational, if we are getting these machines, they could be sold to the local gyms and local training centers, so that it covers the cost of the machines. It's not that the local NOC will be buying it, and then there are no way to how to figure the cost. And also the energy concept is like first step, but we also want to deliver a social message around it, that people come towards the fitness goals, and also it brings a legacy aspect to it.
Any more questions? I think we are good on an excellent presentation there from the unicorns, and now we move to a Quattro Stagioni and the pizza team.
Imagine a multi-sport event where people come together to celebrate sports. An event where people celebrate and are celebrated, and at the same time is an event that doesn't damage the nature through immense pollution and building of huge sports facilities. Also imagine an event where for once the economical aspect of earning as much as possible isn't the main focus. What may sound as impossible to you is now a reality. Let me introduce you to the pre-Olympic ice games. With our team and everyone's individual strengths, we want to create the impossible, the most sustainable multi-sport event in history. Together we have what is needed for success. But what is now the pre-Olympic ice games? Marco, show us some facts.
The pre-Olympic ice games will take place from January till March 2029. As the name indicates, the pre-Olympic ice games will be executed 1 year before the Winter Olympic Games. It should serve as a final preparation for the Winter Olympic Games. For the athletes, it also serves as a final assessment of their performance. The multi-sports event will take place all over Switzerland, with the headquarters lying in Lucerne.
So here, of course, you can see Switzerland, but also all the places where we will execute the sports. First, maybe, why did we choose Lucerne as a headquarter? It's in the middle, it's very accessible from everywhere in Switzerland, it has very good infrastructure, it's like the perfect traffic hub. And as we know, Lucerne is experienced and designed to deal with lots of tourists. Then, for example, what are we doing in Adelboden? It's of course very famous for its sports, for its World Cup and slalom slope. So there the ski sports will take place. And then in St. Moritz, we already have the facilities like the Olympia Bob Run. So there the bobsled will take place.
Here's an overview of our partners. As you can see, we have the most influential companies and organizations of Switzerland in our partnership agreement. All those companies and organizations are associated with either sustainability or sports. What are we doing in terms of sustainability? The economical sustainability. We are focusing on using existing sports facilities. This helps us to avoid high running costs and to generate depth after the event has taken place. Furthermore, the high consumption of visitors enhances the average income of households in this area. This then increases simultaneously the welfare within the community.
So what are we doing ecologically? Of course, we use the infrastructure that is already given, so we work resource efficient. However, there are always some things that need to be renewed, but there we will consider legacy, meaning we will build innovative and build that our future generation can profit of it. An example for reducing waste is that we will not sell any water bottles, as we will provide water taps everywhere and make sure that people bring their reusable water bottles with them. With this decision, a lot of plastic can be reduced. And then, very important, the social sustainability that has become really important in the last years with COVID. You need to be flexible, adapt quickly to changes, and always have a plan B, plan C, or even plan D ready to protect all the people. And also very important is the community development. We need to include the locals in every decisions we make, because without them, the event cannot be successful. So we will keep them updated and include them in our decision.
Never before has any multi-sports event managed to maintain all three sustainable aspects. But what makes us so special? Besides of being innovative, we have the mission and the exact plan on how to execute a multi-sports event while maintaining all those three aspects. We're aiming for the yellow dot in the middle.
In the end, we want to give a special thanks to our mentor, Christian Müller, who helped us throughout the planning and also taught us to think outside the box. Thank you.
What an awesome presentation. I'm feeling pretty proud that Haskins is considered one of your partners. That's pretty cool. Judges, take it away.
Thank you for the presentation. I have a question on the ecological measures. You speaking of cutting on plastic bottles. That might be one measure, but when I think of all these people coming from around the world with the airplanes and stuff, what did you think of any other measures than plastic bottles?
As you can see in our presentation, we have a partnership agreement with the SBB. And so therefore we were aiming to reduce CO2 emissions by traveling by train. That's like as a further measure. Besides cutting all those plastic bottles and reducing waste.
Did you think about snow and the situation of that, let's say, generating snow make it perfect for competitions might be another ecological problem? So have you looked into a solution for that?
We knew exactly that having to use snow, might be a problem, and this is a risk we need to bear. We can't avoid this risk. I mean, it's based on the nature, but we have to, bear the risk with this one.
Well, for example, the point of our work we want to use, for example, the snow cannons. They're already there on the slopes. We will use this as well as the parking slots. They're already there. We will use this.
Mm-hmm. But still, I mean, to maintain the snow, you have to put salt on it in order to make it, let's say, ready for competitions and all this kind of stuff. So the water that is used for the snow also might be an issue, but understood. So you would use existing infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay. And just another question on the athletes. So is it, from your point of view, feasible? Have you looked a bit into the agenda, whether it fits or whether athletes would just not show up because it is too tight anyway? So they have only 4 or 5 months of competition of competition period.
We consider this part, but the thing is that we're trying really to create an event which suits the athletes for assessing their performance 1 year before, so they know exactly where the lack is, so they can train.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I guess they will make time for that, because in the end, it helps for their performance at the real Olympic Games.
Okay.
Any more? If not, I think the team mentioned. Oh, there is a question.
Just one small.
Yes.
You want to produce the full program of the Olympic game, or you will have a kind of FIS games or something like this, a smaller version of the multi-sports games?
We consider the same games or sports as in the Winter Olympic Games. This is biathlon, bobsleigh, curling, ice hockey, figure skating, skiing sports, and ledge. So based on those 7 sport activities, we're trying to implement the games.
Thank you so much for all of those questions and all of those answers. The team mentioned a very good point. We wanted to say a big, big thank you to all the mentors that were able to help the teams through with the creation of their projects. So next up, let's have the Champagne team.
Good morning, guys. We are Team Champagne, and we will tell you how we plan to reinvent the multi-sports events of tomorrow. So first, let's look at the challenges. Why do we even need to reinvent the model? We have identified 3 key issues. First, all cities are desiring more innovative solutions. Second, there's a huge drive behind sustainable and social values sought by younger generation. For the third and last point, let me quote one of the most trusted data intelligence source in America, Morning Consult, that said, Gen Zs are half as likely as millennials to watch live sports regularly and twice as likely to never watch, which means that there is a decrease in interest and engagement towards traditional sports by the younger generation. So what is the solution? The solution is the metaverse. The metaverse is a digital world where you'll be able to connect thanks to new and emerging technologies such as glasses and haptic gear, such as the vest she's wearing in the video that simulates the feeling of touch. Anyone will be able to connect and become his own fully customizable avatar. And we will no longer be talking direct to consumer anymore, but direct to avatar. Important to note that Meta, formerly named Facebook, has hired more than 10,000 people in the EU alone that are currently working on the technology. To give you some more empirical insights on the virtual world, it is supposed to generate an additional 1.5 trillion boost to the global GDP by 2030, according to a PwC study made in 2021. In terms of popularity, the blending of entertainment, sport, and metaverse has proven to be already successful, with 27 million people joining the live concert of Travis Scott in Fortnite last day. So what do we offer? The Metaverse World Games. Imagine the Olympic Games, where everyone could participate and feel a part of. In our event, it will be possible, meaning that you, Verena, you, Hippolyte, Stefan, Marisa, Ralph, Anna, Lars, and even Freya will be able to compete in the game, whether you are in Hungary, Germany, Croatia, Denmark, Canada, Switzerland, or anywhere else in the world. The event will take place in 2 phases. There's going to be a qualification phase where everyone will be able to join, and a second phase with the best athletes of all disciplines joining in an in-person event. This is in order to bring the best of both worlds, bring the community together, and create opportunities for broadcasters and sponsors. To ensure the highest of engagements, we will poll to our audiences which disciplines they will want to take part in. Picking the most popular and the most in-demand disciplines will ensure the successful tenure of our event. The disciplines will necessarily have a physical component to it and won't be simply gaming, for example. Furthermore, legacy will be at the very core of our event, with predicted gains to be redistributed to a development cause for the sake of benefiting society as a whole. As you can see, it's going to be a truly global connected event where everyone will be able to connect to VR glasses from different parts of the world. For our event, we have identified 4 key elements to be truly successful. The technological part is paramount and will be developed by 2036. Necessary components such as glasses, haptic gear, multi-direction treadmills will be available to mass audiences by that time. It is very important to us that there is a physical exertion component to the disciplines offered. As mentioned before, the event will be hybrid with an online qualification and presentation funnel to bring the best of both worlds. Finally, we will offer an e-learning course to our participants, and both economical and environmental sustainability will be at the core of our proposition. As you can see, we are backed by industry leaders that endorse our idea and this innovative way to reinvent the multi-sports event of tomorrow. As you can see in this slide, such brands have already made steps toward the metaverse. And as you can see, there's an array of different companies and different sectors, which proves that we are on the right path. So what will be the next steps for us? We have a plan with 5 key points that will be worth addressing already in our current day and age. Most importantly, we could already test the viability of the idea to small pilot tests with already existing technology. But please bear in mind, we are not trying to create a new event. we're striving to reinvent the way multi-sports events engage, interact, and connect with the entire world towards a more social and sustainable solution that is highly attractive to all. We have to embrace it before it is too late. As Stephen Hawking so wisely said, intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. Thank you, and see you in 2036.
Well, Team Champagne painted an attractive, appealing and fairly terrifying world. I definitely wouldn't want to go and fight against a pink Vili or my mother-in-law crossed together. Judges.
I think, first of all, great presentation, and I think, yeah, you're right with a lot of assumptions in there. I would like to know, because I think one of the biggest problems of VR games or gaming in general is the discussion of shooter games, for example, which can also be physical. So I wanted to know what you think about it, if now the scene would be so big that they actually choose this event, if you would be pro it, or what you would do.
Thank you, Marisa, for the kind words and for the question. In terms of shooting games, we have, as we pictured in the presentation, there's going to be several disciplines that are going to be democratically picked, right? Since it's a democratic process, we won't have too much say in it, but we are planning to have different categories, meaning that there's going to be a pool of disciplines, but it won't be possible to have 10 disciplines in shooting. We want to really separate from maybe the traditional way, looking at the Horizon 2036, although we still want to ensure that there's several disciplines, not only shooting. So there might be maybe 2, but not more than this.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a question regarding the hybrid event, because I understood that there will be an online event all over the world, but also some kind of on-site event. How you would like to combine on and offline together?
So there's a lot of different ways that we can combine online and offline together, but I think I'll take the macro view, talking about qualification online. In a way, everyone will be able to participate and qualify. You'd be able to sign up on a freemium account and test your score against everyone else. But if you would like to go to our in-person thing, you'd have to sign up with a form of identification, because we're giving you financial incentives to come. Part of the reason we want to have an in-person event is to level out some of the technological inequalities. You know, if your internet speed good, you have access in the right space, and also build, you know, people together there. In the in-stadium experience, there's also opportunities to use VR and AR for the spectator experience, selling virtual goods, you know, providing broadcasts from different kinds of perspectives that we have, giving opportunities for streamers. So integration is going to be something we're going to do from a hugely strategic view, from a tactical view, from an operational view, and kind of ingrained into everything that we're going to do moving forward.
Thank you for really a great presentation. My question is more related to the aspect of sustainability. You mentioned it a couple of times, but actually I don't see it. So I thought it's more energy consumption than anything else. So help me out.
Yes, of course. Basically, we've identified, as we said at the beginning, empirical studies stating that the biggest of the problems for current events are the cost of traveling, for example, or the logistical costs that are related to building facilities. So obviously we are erasing these costs, first of all. So that's a huge sustainable part. But also, as we said, there's going to be a sustainable part as well, because in the process, we haven't explained, but as we poll the audience disciplines, we will also poll the audience for creating a fund that's going to be the money is going to go toward the fund helping sustainability, and this fund is going to be picked. So for example, we will say many causes, and they might pick to clean the oceans, for example, and one part money is going to go towards this fund, and then it's going to go toward helping that cause, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Talking also about electricity use, the metaverse is interconnected between different servers. So it's going to be Facebook, Google, lots of other people connect. And when we're not using the metaverse big stadium, doesn't mean that it can't be used. Once you build a digital asset, it's living there, in perpetuity, as long as people are willing to keep it up, which I understand that in physical real world events, procurement is a huge cost because you're buying things for a big event, and then you're going to have to tear it down, go to a different city, buy a lot of stuff again. And in this case, we get to build something once, and then the iteration cost is a lot less. Also being techno-optimists, we're really hoping the electricity will cost a lot less and be a lot greener in the future.
Okay.
Excellent presentation, great questions. This leads us into the break. We are going to take a 15-minute break now. We'll welcome a Lucerne video just to celebrate what's going on there despite the cancellation of the games, and we'll be back at 3:15. 3:15, back in your seats. Thank you very much.
Take care for your doubts, get your head out of
Welcome back. The Haskins Innovation Challenge, Part 2, same day. I'm Guy Horn and this is my co-commentator,
Freya Jones.
We just had a great presentation about the metaverse. Now we're going to reality. Feast your eyes on this.
Sekunda 0,8, odličan eksplozivan start, tamo još Zoran Sobol, Ana je sada sama na stazi, treća iz prve vožnje. Na ovom Erberovom putu, Ana Jelušić. Sekunda i 20 za Anu Jelušić. Ovaj radni dio koji njoj ne odgovara za Anu Jelušić, još nekoliko trenutaka do ulaska u cilj. Ana Jelušić na rubu ispadanja, ali ne da se ulazi u cilj i prva! Ima postolje! 19 sekunde! Prva je!
She's changed, she's showered, she's fresh, she's back at her desk, looking immaculate. Ana Jelušić, what does that short video clip say about you as a person and you as an athlete?
Well, I think, first of all, thank you for having me today, and thank you for making me relive what was potentially one of the best days of my life. And it's hard to describe that even now, 10 plus years later, I watch that clip and I can feel myself leaving the start gate. I can feel my pulse accelerating, and I can, as the race progresses, I can just feel how up in my chest it goes doom, 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 doom until I cross the finish line. And I can watch it another million times and the reaction is the same. But I think what it says about me, and you might have guessed that, is I am a traditionalist in a lot of ways. I come from a sport that has been built on the foundation of tradition, that is built for an audience that watches it generally on TV now with potentially an additional screen. But at the same time, I think I'm also still young enough to have an appreciation and understanding that tradition doesn't always mean stagnation, and that we are in a critical time in finding ways how to develop an evolution of sport to continue to interest the masses. Because those 30,000 people that you've seen screaming at that event, they were there for a reason. There was something that triggered that interest in that point in time.
And people forget the importance of audio, and as a media production guy, audio is everything. And you didn't need to understand Croatian to understand the commentary. What was conveyed there?
I mean, you know, obviously there's a commentator who is slightly biased on the Croatian national TV, witnessing, in a way, making history, because that was the first podium for Croatia at the home event. And I think it's interesting to see how all rules of commentary pretty much went out the window. There's nothing of real value. There's no technical commentary coming out of him. It's just like pure emotion pouring into the mic. And he transitioned from being a commentator, someone who's leading the broadcast, into a fan. And he was one of those 30,000 people. And he was able to portray kind of this moment of actually feeling it opposed to just narrating it.
We're now a number of years on from that race, but we shared that moment. We felt we were part of it. Now, what happened in reality? What happened after you crossed the finish line, after you collapsed with exhaustion? What's the next stage there that we didn't see?
Guy, I was a professional athlete. That was not exhaustion. I could have gone another 3 minutes. That was pure happiness and just relief. But all joking aside, I think, you know, for sure what happens at a real life event, and hearing the presentations earlier today, I mean, congratulations to all the teams. They've blown my mind with a lot of the topics, and they've made me realize how much opportunity there is. But I think what we shouldn't forget is that there is value in being somewhere in person. After I crossed that finish line, I had coaches, teammates, family members, all kind of joining me in that shared emotion. They were able to touch me, hug me, kiss me, give me my national flag, you know, take the skis off me, give me a pat on the back. And all of that just built up the emotion and the moment that I was living. Having that same result converted and potentially achieved through virtual reality, through a screen, it's definitely going to be different. And I think another point that I just wanted to also make is that that moment in time is so important, is so emotional because it's so rare, right? And often when we talk about multi-sport events and we talk about why younger people might not be interested, it's like, if you think of today's environment, we're oversaturated with information. When I was growing up, there were, 10 races a year, one Olympics every 4 years, and potentially some other events. Today, at any point in time, any moment of the day, I can grab my phone, grab my computer, and I can find sport content. And in a way, by adding more and by giving people more opportunity to participate, to be involved, we need to be careful to not kind of go cross that line in devaluing the rarity of certain events.
Absolutely, and I'd like to thank Anna for you taking the time to share what was an extraordinary moment, not only for you as the youngest competitor competing in the Olympic Games in Salt Lake, but also for your nation. And we will now look keenly for the next Jelicic, the next young Jelicic on the start line in the future. Thank you very much, and back to the challenge.
So next up we have the Snowflake team.
Future is innovative, the future is sustainable, and the future is changing. So, should the Olympic Games adapt to this ever-changing future? Yes, and today we're going to show you how.
We are Team Snowflake and study at the University of Lucerne. The four of us, Desiree, Julia, Jessica, and I, are young women who love sports and are looking forward to convincing you of our concept. The main problems that lead us to today's event are the waste of resources, high carbon emissions, and not to forget the mass tourism. The Olympic Games are meant to bring people from different nations together while still being at home. Together, they should feel the love for sport. The 2030 Summer Olympic Games set a sustainable example and represent the concept of tomorrow. The idea of our concept is that the Summer Olympics will be held in different countries in Europe. Therefore, the Olympic disciplines are divided into 6 groups. As an example, we present you the ball sports in Paris. Paris has some stadiums which already comply the standards of Olympic stadiums. However, some of them still need to be renovated. A country would benefit from holding the games as they are then able to renew existing venues instead of consuming more resources in building new stadiums. For the Summer Olympics 2030, we have developed a new innovation concept called Go Virtual. Go Virtual helps to solve the problem of physical distance, which is due to the decentralized organization. So, how does Go Virtual work and how is it realized? First of all, meet our robot Ollie. Several robots are placed in each sports stadium as a medium for broadcasting the competitions. Worldwide, spectators have the opportunity to follow the games live in virtual reality mode using VR glasses. Before and also after the competitions, the robots can be used as an information point and also as a contact person for all the people on site. The VR glasses can be rented and therefore is in close cooperation with Intel. The robots and the VR glasses are powered by solar energy.
A really important part of the whole Olympic Games is the Olympic Village and its Olympic spirit. By tearing the Olympic Games into different locations, this Olympic spirit is broken. You would think so. But in order to connect the different locations and the different athletes, we are creating a physical space where the athletes can get in touch with the other athletes with their VR glasses. With a self-created avatar, the athletes can walk around, meet other people. Fans also have access to this virtual room and can play mini-games against their idols. But understandably, the athletes do not always want to be visible to the public and can therefore set a ghost mode and are thus only visible to selected people. This event is marketing for the city, and in the long term, the city and country will have more visitors. The different locations would reduce unemployment in these areas. These are all positive long-term effects, and as the country will be even better known after Olympic Games and tourism will increase as a result. This will mean that more employees would be required after the Games, for example, in the service and hospitality sector. On a social level, from the different locations, mass tourism can be kept in limits during the Olympic Games. This is certainly more pleasant and makes the mega event more friendly and accommodating for the inhabitants. We have now done our part. Now it's up to you. Create with us innovative and sustainable Olympic Games. For the people, for the nature, for the sport.
What a lovely presentation by Team Snowflake, basically capturing what other teams have presented before and wrapping it all in a gift basket. So now let's hear from the judges, see if they have any questions.
So congratulations, Snowflake, great presentation. Looking forward to meet Oli. How many Olis do you need?
That's a really good question. So, we have to admit that like the real amount is not already planned because it's already it's still the idea of it. So it depends of the size of the stadium, the size of the whole area, and also it depends which countries and which city are gonna be the host cities. So.
Okay. And just to follow up, sorry. This is more elderly white men asking young people, meeting virtually, is that replacing, let's say, the Olympic Village from a pure sensation of having this kind of feeling of being together and feeling this kind of spirit?
So there will still be an Olympic Village in the different locations, but so we saw the problem that if there are, so we planned about 6 different locations for this event, and as the athletes can't get in touch with the other athletes at the other locations, we have an alternative Olympic Village which is virtual. So there will be a Olympic Village at the location, for example, Paris, but there will also be an Olympic Village which is going to be virtual.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I have a question regarding, let me say, the bidding process to be a host of this decentralization of the Olympics. So there will be several bidding processes, or is it foreseen in your concept that every time the ball sport will be at the same location or city or country?
So there will be, all ball sport would be in Paris actually, and others like water sport would be maybe in Germany or in another country. So there are 6 like cycling, indoor sport, outdoor sport, and there will be always in another country.
But this is just, for example, for the Olympic Games 2030. So 4 years after, the Olympic Games will be probably in Asia. So then countries in Asia can apply for being a host country, and therefore the country is gonna change every 4 years.
Wonderful. Well, that will wrap up our Q&A and bring us on to our next team, Team Mountain.
Hello everybody, welcome to the HEC Edelweiss game, and we are happy to present our concepts. I will present you our teams with my colleagues, Sébastien Martin, Pauline Bonjour, Mike Paté, and Colin Petitjean. We're from the Sports Management School in Lausanne. So to introduce a little bit, our analysis is focused on the enthusiasm of amateur athletes to participate in a fun and sporting event. We realize that the most televised sports lost interest and most amateurs stopped their competitive careers early because of the abundance of comparison and selection. Our concept is to make a multi-sport event. Will be local scale, but we can expand to national and international level. It will be accessible to everybody. Our focus are on unpopular and fun sport. We're gonna explain a little bit later. And we'd like to collaborate with the universities and government to offer affordable access to everyone. We are gonna explain later too. Our beliefs, so we thought to develop an event for sport enthusiasts that is sustainable because it's really important for us. And it's enhance the life of students and free to stream. Our action will be to develop a simple concept, easily adaptable to the weather because we are in Switzerland, so the conditions are not always really good, and that will not cost too much. Our objectives are to make an international multi-sport tournament accessible to amateurs like the Olympics was before. I'm sure you heard about the success of Squid Games, so we decided to use simple sport and like a little bit forget to make them knowing again. Sorry about my English. About our feeling, it's an innovative project. It's open to everybody and which awakens the inner competitive spirit of participants. That's an important point too. We did a little bit of design thinking, so I will speak about sustainability. The problem is to reach the event and to have the infrastructure. So we decide to use existing infrastructure near the university's campus because there already is to access by public transport and you can limit the car and we don't have to create infrastructure. About student life is not always easy to have an event with not knowing people. So to collaborate with students, it's good because it will enhance friendship and team buildings. About sport environment, the comparison to high-level talent and professional. So we decide to expose to uncommon sports practiced at school when we were younger. So we don't need a lot of preparation and materials. About media, the problem is like we're not able to attend or easily watch our friend or family to compete. So we decided to use Twitch, and with this solution, we can stream and offer free access for everybody who wants to support the player and the team. Our name will be, for Switzerland, will be HEC Edelweiss Games, but every canton we will have a name like the example below. So here will be HEC Edelweiss Game Vaud, and for the international competition, it will be just Edelweiss team. That's a global competition environment, so it will be regional, national, continental, and international, and we will always have the best, the winner of each category to grow in the other one. Here are the sports, so we will choose ball, cane ball, dodgeball, flag capture, spike ball, and Alaskan baseball. So thank you for your attention, and we will be here and happy to answer question.
Thank you very much, Team Mountain. Excellent. Judges, what do you think?
You say that at the very beginning, I think that's the reason why you choose unpopular sports, that there's too much competition. But at the end, then you say there's going to be competition because always the 5 best teams are going to go further, regional, national, international. Isn't that a contradiction?
Yes and no, because we want to do a competition to take the spirit of sport, but with unpopular sport, because like football or basketball, there are already too many people who want to compete to this sport.
Okay.
I think there are also some very not unpopular, but not very well known sports. So you have chosen some, but at least when I look, some sports played in Ireland, or some sports played in Switzerland, or whatever. I mean, we don't have to go deeply into it. So the selection seems to be a bit, a bit done by you. So what drove you to go for these kind of sports?
In the team, we were speaking about which sport we did when we were at secondary school.
Mm-hmm.
We never done before after. And it was everybody ideas to take, yes, this one I just did at school.
Mm-hmm. and it will be done at a venue, or at a venue and hybrid, or so how is the combination?
The goal will be on venue and hybrid. That's
qualification rounds, hybrid, and then goes to venue, or how is it planned?
We will prefer to make venue, but we have to check with universities if we can do something like Universide or something like this.
Right, thank you very much. We move on to the 8th team, Team Teddy Bear. Let's see what a cuddle they're going to give us.
$50 billion. Well, this giant sum of money is linked to a specific event, to the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi, to the most expensive Olympic Games ever. Practically everything was built from scratch, and after 2 weeks of trouble, Sochi became a ghost town. So what about legacy? I guess that wasn't priority in planning. However, it should have been a crucial part. So now it's time for a change. Now is the time we have to stand up and rethink the Olympic Games together to create an inspiring place where sports, innovation, and nature go hand in hand. With this, I warmly welcome you to our short pitch about the 6th.
Now to today's program. First of all, we will have a look at our idea. Then we will talk about its feasibility, and Jana will explain you its legacy. And of course, you are welcomed at the end to ask us any questions. Now, first of all, at the beginning of every realignment, there needs to be a brand which supports the new strategy. That's the reason why we redesigned the old Olympic Games logo. It shows that sports should go alongside sustainability. As you might know, the original logo was designed by Pierre de Coubertin in 1913. You heard right. That's over 100 years ago, when sustainability didn't play any important role. The 6th, as you have seen connects every continent to each other. Now continents are not anymore only connected through sports, but also through sustainability. And to the new discipline, the principle is quite simple. The sports competition of the Olympics will more or less remain the same, as you can see on the left-hand side. Only different disciplines might change, but this is now neglectable. On the right-hand side, you can see the core idea, which shows that every country's Olympic Committee must send a report in advance of the Games. They have to show how they have become greener in terms of the different participating sports in the last 4 years. This can be general progress in sustainable resource use or a specific project, for example, a new sports infrastructure maintained by renewable and greener energy. This additional discipline helps countries see how each other's different sustainability approaches are applied in different sports, which then can also foster the connection between countries and even continents. And as you notice, the Olympic Games vision and mission will remain and even be strengthened. Now you're probably wondering who does the rating. The reports will be judged by a jury. Now you need to know that sustainability is generally subdivided into 3 different categories, such as economic, environmental, and social sustainability. Jan will go into it more specifically. But what can such criteria look like? Measuring methods and tools and specific key performance indicators will be adopted to assess the 3 different pillars of sustainability. This means the Olympic Committee publishes previously the criteria according to the latest scientific findings. And after all, a selected jury will then take a closer look at the country's reports and decide based on their professional judgment and the published criteria which country has won.
So the 6th has the ability to create positive legacies in all kinds of fields. So here you can see the 3 spheres of sustainability. Firstly, the environmental sphere. In general, we want to minimize consumption of resources. So at the Olympics itself, existing infrastructure should be used where possible, otherwise upgraded in an ecological way. However, to focus on the 6th itself, so there will be a positive legacy not only in the place of execution, but in all participating countries, as they will have an additional incentive to work towards sustainability. And additionally, the Olympic Games are followed all over the world, which means that the entire world gets to hear about and be inspired by the projects, which leads us to the social sphere. Yeah, generally, it promotes exchange and encourages innovative thinking. And lastly, by using mostly infrastructure who is there already, there will be some cost savings, and most importantly, money will flow into research and development. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us dare step into the right direction with this new Olympic Games. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you, Team Teddy Bear. That's an awesome way to look at a different view of what we've seen so far, really tackling the before the games happen part of things. Judges, over to you.
So from my end, if I may start, the criteria you mentioned them in the presentation. The criteria will qualify then or allow the team to participate, or does it get minus grades at the end, or how is it calculated what you have done in before? Or once you have stepped over a certain, let's say, threshold, you are in and this is it. So then you start to look at the other results during the event.
No, that will be done simultaneously. For example, so if we take rowing as a discipline, then the rowing committee, for example, of Switzerland, has to hand in a report in terms of the sustainability and how they have become greener in this discipline itself. So, for example, then other countries also have to hand in that for rowing, which are qualified before or in advance of the Olympic Games.
So it would be separate to the sporting event or combined?
Exactly. But it's being done simultaneously. So for example, if there's the rowing final, then there will also be the announcement which country in this discipline has won the sustainability part of the Olympic Games in rowing, for example.
So it's like the team championships or team world champion is separate at Formula One than the world champ, for example. So you have different competitions at the same venue for the same event.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thanks. Clear.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I wonder, you will change the process of the selection of the sports or the venues. Did you think about governance or compliance questions behind your process?
So you mean government and legal parts in what terms? Like
and compliance questions too. Yeah, because maybe there is some money inside this process and hidden money inside this process. Did you think about this as well?
Of course, but we had a look at that and we realized that the Olympic Committee has had its problems to find countries doing that in the past, because it's very expensive to have an Olympic. So we thought maybe that could be a reason to do it if there are other incentives to do it apart from just the sports.
And if I may come in again, is this a pre-criteria also that you send your team to the Olympics, or is it completely separate? So if, let's say, you don't fulfill minimum standards, your team is not even allowed. I mean, your sports team is not even allowed to participate, or is it really separate, completely separate?
Yeah, that's part of the discussion. So we have to define this, like this is in a detail which we have discussed, but probably we could include that so as a criteria to qualify. But on the other hand, the problem is that if you're a sportsman or an athlete, then it's hard to accept that your home country, for example, does not fulfill the requirements, even if you are the best in the world. So that's still part of the process, which we are figuring it out in our work and our paper, but we're still discussing that part. And you're right, that's a big point in our work, but we haven't come to the end point, or to the solution yet. So,
yeah.
All right, wonderful. You guys are definitely touching on such an important topic, the selection of where the games are going to happen. It's something that can really change the responsibility. It puts it on the cities themselves, which I think is a very important point to mention. So next up, we will go into the Space Invaders.
This team's presentation of our version of the Haskins challenge and how we aim to improve esports. I want to first start out with a short video on where we see the potential for our project. So, how do we believe that Jenna's career could have been solved? You've seen the high number of percentages of injuries, mental health problems, and so on. And that's exactly where we want to aim our program at. So our idea is to create programs that address those issues. And we have to start out with one, maybe the biggest issue we face in the world of esports, is that esports athletes, they're not necessarily seen by athletes, because a lot of them argue that there is no physical activity involved. There's no actual sport involved. However, we believe that's actually true. Like, they're actually also athletes because they need physical activity. So not only do we want to spread that understanding among society, but first and foremost also among gamers. Then we want to educate esports athletes on nutrition, because obesity, diabetes is those two are one of the main issues that we have in esports. Just chucking back a Red Bull instead of having healthy nutrition, for example. And then we also want to educate on mental health, because isolation, depression, loneliness, and anxiety are issues that a lot of esports athletes are facing. Now, how do we address this? We want to create programs that contain strength and conditioning, nutrition, and mental health training for esports athletes, so that it's specifically adapted for the esports athlete and for a certain game if possible. That program, we would like to develop that with experts in those respective fields. We then take those programs and want to implement them. But where? We aim at esports schools, esports teams, and esports individuals, with the overall goal of our programs being to improve performance. Throughout that process, we want to collect data to see how they improve, how much they improve. And this data should allow us to validate the claim that esports athletes are actually athletes, and also create the base so that we can implement it further in other markets. We want to start out in Switzerland, and maybe because we're in Lausanne, around the Lac Le Mans area, also on the French part, but then at some point we want to expand. Now, how did industry peers receive that idea? We conducted several interviews, and the overall statement that we got is that they want us to do that program. They see the benefit of such a program. They see how esports can progress through such a program. And it is, whether it is a way to bring sports like physical activity into esports, but at the same time, it's a way of improving health. It's in a way of improving performance for those athletes. And that's exactly what we want to do. And we have, even through those interviews, we have found partners that are willing to work with us to push this idea forward and aim at turning it into a reality. So therefore, thank you.
Thank you for that, Space Invaders. So once again, judges.
First, I would say yes. These are athletes. You are absolutely right. And actually, when I spoke to even a Swiss athlete, he told me that with 26, 27, they are nearly done and they are completely exhausted, and it's over for them. So some active sports can be done differently and longer. So it must be really exhaustive, and therefore I think the approach is great. But do you think that the athletes are open for this? Because they are so much in a tunnel. I mean, we see it with real sports, but we see it also with the athletes operating in this field, that they are so much focusing on performance that all these kind of, let's say, other initiatives might be considered as disturbing.
Yeah, we have seen that there is the two-way. There is people who are not really open to see gamers, even if it's at high level, as athletes, but we can just give them the assurance that there is, but there is no fact. With this project, there would be fact, there would be statistics, things, that numbers that make it clear that they use
a lot of the muscle. So that's why it would help a lot. And the idea is to prove that to higher instance of the sports who don't think like that, to have that
the office.
That office about to think more about esports.
Yes, and I also think, as you said, like there's a lot of other ways of performance, or they might not be open, but that's exactly what we want to show them, that it's actually a way to improve your performance in esports. And if you look at top level esports athletes, most of them already do it, but the base, the youth, they're not there yet. And that's where we target with that program, is schools, is young teams, is the individuals, to then when they reach the high level, that they can really perform on a higher level.
Would this be a task to be done on a private level, or is it something to be done, let's say, by the federations? Because now there are esports federations on European and international level coming up. So do you think this is more on their side, or is it more privately done?
Actually, we will need some private society to help the project, even after the statistics. But yeah, I think the best would be to have the help of a country, of federal things. But we can't. What we can have with help is a society, private society, but we think with ethics, and we don't have the. We won't have the price problem, like having to giving back things. So ethics problem with that.
Did we understand your question correctly?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you for your presentation. Do you thought already about potential partners? Because the topics you mentioned is not original only for e-gamers, but also for other kind of athletes or sportmen.
Yeah. So, like in the process, we already conducted interviews. We conducted an interview with someone who was a former esports athlete. He's now changed towards organizing events, and he will start his studies in esports management next summer. So he was like, I would love to help you with this. I would love to help you implement that. So I think there is definitely the potential. We've also had other interview partners who are interested in having our dossiers, so they can, if they hear about people that might be interested, that they can come back to us. And also of course you can adapt it also to other sports, but now at first our focus is on esports. That's where we target now, and then you can always expand, but now let's start with our main focus.
But yeah, we have partners. Yeah.
Thank you, team. Once again, touching into an area that is not often talked about, esports. Not sometimes forgotten, but still just as important as the sports that we talk about when we say sports. So next up, we have the final team, Scooters.
Welcome to the presentation of the 2035 Summer Olympic Games. The 2035 Olympics are going to be better than any Olympics before. Better at sustainability, better at innovation, and better at bringing people to get better together. But why do the Olympics need to get better? Well, because the current issues of major multi-sports events are manifold, and thus also in the Olympic Games. The staging of Olympic Games is associated with enormous costs for the host, usually covered by the taxpayer. Furthermore, Olympic Games are often confronted with problems regarding infrastructure. New stadiums and accommodation facilities have to be built.
But there are no such problems in the 2035 Olympics, because the 2035 Games will be co-hosted in the cities of Amsterdam, Brussels, and Cologne. The three cities will show the whole world how major challenges can be solved together in order to fund and successfully stage the games. Through this cooperation, we want the Olympics to stand for the belief that if these three countries can work together in sharing the responsibility of organizing and hosting and can share joy all around the globe, why wouldn't it work for the whole world? We want to be a pioneer for equality, cultural openness, and for new opportunities in sports, but also in cooperation between countries in any view. But how is this to be done, Livius?
Well, we are breaking completely new ground for that. For the first time ever, the games are taking place in 3 cities and in 3 countries. This opens up completely new possibilities. The costs of the games will be shared between the 3 countries. This means that each country will have less expenses. One person in particular is happy about this, the taxpayer. To make the games attractive to the general public in 2035, we will let the boundary between fan and athlete melt away. We will organize amateur sports events for everyone. For example, thousands of people can run the Olympic marathon together, so everyone can feel like an Olympian. We are also integrating the 2035 Paralympic Games into the Summer Games program. The para-athletes will be seen as athletes and not as people with disabilities. That is the Olympic spirit. But that's not all. Amsterdam, Brussels, and Cologne are 3 cities with excellent infrastructure. We will use this infrastructure. All cities are very well connected to the train network. To make the most of this, there will be Olympic trains for fans and athletes in 2035. These trains will transport athletes and fans from A to B. But not only within the cities, Olympic trains will also run throughout Europe. For the long distances, we will use high-speed trains. Furthermore, all 3 cities have a very large variety of existing sports facilities. Almost no new sports facilities need to be built for the games. The existing ones only need to be adapted for the Olympics. This brings 3 decisive advantages. First, fewer raw materials are wasted. Second, less tax money is used for new buildings, so happy taxpayer again. And third, after the games, the wider population benefits from the improved facilities. Local clubs will be able to train and compete there. But what about the Olympic Village? Well, the solution is simple. There is none. Amsterdam, Brussels, and Cologne are 3 university cities with large campuses. Over the summer, the students travel to their home. We use the vacant rooms and accommodate the athletes in there. Of course, the rooms will still be adapted to the needs of the athletes, and they will also be handicapped accessible. This also has several advantages. The students have better sleeping facilities, renovated and beautiful rooms after the games. And the campuses will be handicapped accessible.
New dimensions will be reached with the 2035 Games. We combine sport with sustainability. In doing so, we stand for a change to a more sustainable future on a social, ecological, and economic level. We also demonstrate that nations can work together for the common good of the planet and the health benefits of their society. Thank you very much for your attention.
Well, in the heart of Europe, the Olympic Games will be great to see that come to fruition. Judges, what do you say?
Thanks for your nice presentation. I have just a minor question. You choose 2035. So when I count right, it should be 2036 when you talk about Summer Games. Why did you change this number?
We were thinking about a free date, and I think the 2034 Olympics are in Australia, and we don't know how the situation will be then with pandemics. And as we have learned, Australia is pretty strict with lockdowns, and we thought they were going to cancel the Olympics in 2034. And so there's a way how we can change in just 1 year, to a sustainable Olympic event.
So how do you combine it with, let's say, the identity idea that normally cities or regions do have, because there is no natural identity within this group. It looks a bit more like a practical or pragmatic approach, saying, okay, they're in this region, there are more or less like 16 to 18 million people living or something like that. So is it more this? And are you saying, okay, the other idea of national pride of hosting the Olympics is gone, it's over, it's outdated?
No, I don't think so. I think the identity is like all the three cities are going to have a very, very strong pioneer role in hosting big problems or managing big problems together. They will be the first three cities in the world to do so, to cooperate for such a big thing. And I mean, that's the identity of our project.
I have gone through developing together with others the European Championships for Glasgow and Berlin.
Yeah.
There is still a kind of very, very strong national idea in the groups, but I understand what you're saying. So you're putting, let's say, the priority more on certain strategic aspects and saying that is what's unifying the others, and then they can put and hold their national pride around this.
Yeah, and the advantage is that all these cities are neighbors, and it's like a triangle. And as you said, Glasgow and Berlin are far away from each other, and I don't think that it's possible to create such a strong identity if there's such a large distance in between.
Any more questions? Right, if there's no more questions, Freya Jones will disappear from camera view and she will now go and confer with the judges. We will now have a short period of time for the judges to debate, deliberate, and the idea is they will come up with a clear winner, the one winner first, and then a second team as well. So we're going to have two winners as a result of the competition. So just to refresh the audience in what we've had this afternoon, we've had Team Croissant with that hybrid of a virtual and a real event. We've had the telescopes telling us just the shocking implications of Brazil and the unused stadiums in Manaus, and how football will come back one day with all of its age groups to populate a football-loving nation. We've had the unicorns with their genius mass participation energy generation, an idea which actually could percolate into nearly all the other presentations, so strong that was. The pizzas bring us the pre-Olympic ice games, all venues, all facilities across Switzerland, celebrated in the home of winter sport. We had champagne with a pure meta solution, very far thinking, very far reaching, and some big numbers. PwC's estimate that the market will be worth 1.5 trillion new income in the next 10 years. We've had the snowflakes with the aggregation of summer games across all of Europe, ball sports focused in one city like Paris, water sports perhaps in Budapest, so grouping together key sports in different locations and then moving globally in the future. The mountain team also gave us a sense of the social ability of athletes, how athletes need to connect, and that amateur athletes can join in various simple sports that you used to play at school, but the importance of building those friendships. The teddy bears gave us a scorecard for sustainability, which you have to fill in before you get admitted to the Olympic Club, and possibly a ranking during the Games, and the idea of compliance and how that can be measured and judged for potential cities. Teddy bears, you opened up some very, very big issues and big questions which I think the world of sport is currently dealing with. The Space Invaders talked about the health of the esport athletes and how we can improve their physical and mental health. And last but not least, the scooters, bringing together 3 European countries in solidarity. Who is right, who is wrong? Who has the strongest idea? Which idea will be adapted? Who's to say? But a man that has seen a lot of ideas in his years He's Lars Haup Pedersen, and Lars is currently the Managing Director of the Sports Practice for BCW, and I'd like to welcome Lars to say a few words before we have the judges' verdict. Welcome, Lars.
Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me here to jump in the break while the jury is voting. And my understanding is it's a very short intervention. It's a kind of 5 minutes fast track, and I've been asked to kind of answer one question, if I may say so. And the question is, which I think is very relevant for this setting: is there a need to reinvent the multi-sport event of tomorrow? And I don't know, we have a few visuals. They are on now, the visuals. All right. So the short answer to this is yes. I do really think there is a need to reinvent the sports, the future sport, multi-sports events. In fact, they might actually be in trouble, if I should be a bit dramatic, which is maybe good to motivate people to come up with new ideas how to reinvent. I just picked on 3 things where I think there are issues for multi-sports events. The first one is that today, the number 1 here, you see, today, the consumer, the fans are very busy. They have many channels, they have many screens, often at the same time. And in order, and that is kind of a problem for a multi-sport event, which takes place over, let's say, 2-3 weeks and 20 plus sports happening at the same time. Compare that with the Formula One race, which you all saw this past weekend. 2 drivers, same track, driving, at the end, one of them is winning. That is easy. And because it's easy, the frame of that, fans can really get into it. So fans are following different angles. They know almost all the curves of each of the tracks. They know the entire history and all the stats of each of not only the 2 leading drivers, but kind of everybody. This is complicated for a multi-sport event to create that engagement with fans. That's a huge challenge. Second challenge I see is that multi-sports events are costly, but that's kind of okay. Many things are costly today. However, they are seen and viewed as being very complicated and complex. And that makes the decision and the whole debate around them extremely tense and very often resulting in a negative view on those multi-sports events. Compare that with the Formula One race. They are also very expensive. I don't know if you can compare one Formula One race with one big multi-sports event in terms of cost, but it could get close. The Formula One race is very expensive in terms of the rights fee and all the staging costs, but they are not viewed as being complex or complicated. They're kind of viewed as being easy to do. It takes a lot of effort, but it's very focused. Doesn't create this debate about the complexity and all the different aspects, even though the price level might be close to many multi-sports events. So that's a second complication where I think new ideas are in demand. And thirdly, maybe one of the real issue for multi-sports events is that they don't happen often. They happen, most of them, kind of every 4 years, meaning it's really hard to create any connection between fans and wider audience and that multi-sport event, because you have to wait 4 years for the next one. There are no kind of natural hooks during the year and not even between 2 years. Again, compare that to a Formula One race, where there's a race every week or bi-weekly around the world, same drivers, same cars. The one event is just leading up to the next event, providing a great stage for the next event. It's very easy to create a story around it that everybody can follow. So, what to do? Because I think something has to be done. If people don't come up with really smart ideas how to explain why are these multi-sports events in many ways better than, in this case, of Formula One. If we can't come up with good explanations, why is it a better story? Why has a bigger purpose? Why is it not so complex as people think they are? And how can we create that consistent story, maybe not week by week, but at least year by year? I would feel that at least some or many of the multi-sports events would start to lose even further in terms of attention and attraction compared to the Formula One races, the Champions League footballs, etc., the World Cup in different sports. And I think that's a pity, because we all know that multi-sports events can offer a lot of great things than the other kind of sports events cannot. But we need to get it to clarify it and have to be able to explain it better. So I look very much forward to seeing some of all the great ideas of today being realized, because I think definitely there is a need to look into how to reinvent the multi-sport event of the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lars. The end is challenging. That was exactly the challenge that we need to see. And the timing couldn't be better. We've just watched the most extraordinary F1 ending of the season. A dream for fans, a dream for the sport. So, talking of dreams, let's hope we don't spoil too many people's dreams now. We now have the finale. Freya Jones, I think, might have the information that you're all waiting for.
Yeah, so it was quite a tight deliberation. The judges weren't quite sure who did better, who did worse. These three teams, so yes, 3, not 2. You guys were all very close. You all had great ideas. The judges thought your answers were very well put together. So I don't know if I should do a drum roll, but in no particular order. Oh my gosh, I have all the faces looking at me right now. We have Team Scooter, Team Champagne, and Team Unicorn. So bravo, guys. You guys are part of the winning three teams. But to all of the presentations, thank you so much. All of your ideas really push forward what is currently happening, and especially in this world of federations and politics and everything like that. I think there are a lot of barriers that are currently in place, and with this new generation, these new students with all these ideas, we're really coming in and ready to change these things, ready to change these barriers, push them, look at new things, look at them differently. And it's such an important and crucial part of this entire process.
We couldn't have done the Haskins Innovation Challenge without the following people: Vincent Ducret, Todd Harple, Lee Junjier, Michael Payne, Julian Bizech, Marissa Reich, all of the mentors I might not have mentioned, Sabine Muller, Jörg Stetter, Hochschule Lucerne, and all of the other schools, all of the judges who we've had here today, the Haskins team at UNIL, Swiss University Sport, FISU, all the participating schools, and Think Sports, who hosted the kickoff event, and also we're here today in the Think Sports studio in Lausanne. Thank you, all of you, for participating, our speakers and presenters, Lars and Anna, and all of the group who've spent the time, and we hope it's been a beneficial process. Maybe this is the end, maybe this is just the beginning. Thank you very much.
And on that note, don't turn off your screens just as yet. We will let the judges give you a couple of tips and tricks or feedback into the presentation specifically for the 3 winning teams. So judges, take the floor.
So maybe I start with Team Champagne. I think you knocked it really off with a really great presentation, very well thought through. I think very informative. We all know how hard it is to pitch in 5 minutes an idea. So I think, first of all, great job on that. And then also, I think with your idea to connect the metaverse, which will be for sure coming, everything looks like it, to still using sportive activities, because I think we are still humans and it will play a role in society and for us. So to connect those two, to create an innovative format for multi-sports event is really good. Plus, you then also are able to connect the younger generations who will grow up more natural. We see that with our children or your younger brothers and sisters. So I think that was a very well presentation, good thoughts put into it. Yeah, well done, Team Champagne.
So if I can add the comments of Marissa, I also would like to congratulate on your very professional presentation in only 5 minutes. I was really impressed about your good answers in the question and answers section. And I think it was really an innovative concept for the Generation Z, what we call it. Normally I would say when we were in Lucerne now, let us have a coffee together and talk a little bit about your concept because it's so innovative. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. So now for the prizes, much awaited. So first of all, the first team will be the one deciding what exactly the prize that they want to choose from. So out of the 3 prizes, we have the invitation to the World Cup skiing in Crans, Montana. And then we have the invitation to the Diamond League in Lausanne by Atletissima. And then an invitation to The Spot, which is a huge networking event put on by Think Sport here in Lausanne.
And that will be all teams who are invited to The Spot, which usually takes place in May in Lausanne. So those are the prizes. There'll be more details to follow. Sadly, no trip to China that we were hoping, but who knows next year, and who knows if you'll be competing next year. Bigger and better prizes for more teams to enter. So I think that is all from all of us. Thank you very much and good night.